Trading with the MACD. So the MACD is an abbreviation for moving average convergence and divergence. The MACD indicator, it requires moving averages at its inputs. Falls into the group of lagging indicators. So it's basically behind a little bit. The basic function of the MACD is to discover new trends and to help identify the end of current trends. There are various ways to gauge the signals generated by the MACD. Many traders use their own unique settings and methods around this trading indicator. So the MACD indicator consists of three components. So this is the MACD line. I want everybody to make their MACD lines blue and their signal lines red. This is a histogram. These gray lines, I want you to use yellow or red, either way. I like to use yellow, but I have to reset my settings sometimes and it just ends up red by default. The MACD line and the signal line, the distance between the two represent the histogram. So this is easily seen right here. So you see how the blue line is above the red line. The MACD line is the blue line. It's above the signal line. Okay, and so right here you've got this basically mirrors this area, right? So you got 1, 2, 3 tiny little bars, and they look like they would fit perfectly in here. So that goes on top because the MACD is above the signal line. Now the MACD moves below the signal line, and then you get your histogram right here, bars below the zero line. Okay, so the zero line is this line that goes right across the middle of the histogram, and it basically says 0 over here. Okay. Now, if you look, when you've got a ton of big distance, the MACD line is above the signal line here. MACD line's above the signal line, so your histogram's above the 0 line. And you see how the distance here is mirrored right here. So here it gets close and it pinches a little bit, and you see how it's lower right here, and then it's really big, a lot of space right here, and these histogram lines are really big. Okay, and then over here, for example, you see the blue line is below the signal line, the MACD line is below the signal line, so this histogram goes in the downward direction, and you can see it mirrors. You could kind of fit it right in this little area. Also, it can be said that when the MACD starts to curve higher, when it starts to curve up, that's a bit of a bullish sign, and when it starts to curve down is a bearish sign. So there's a lot of things going on, even more than this article talks about, but I think these are important to kind of understand. You're going to have to watch this video 5 times probably. I did. I had to watch a ton, and I've been watching videos all day just to make sure I explain every single thing, and I've collected information from as many sources as I possibly could to make sure this video covers everything. So the MACD line's faster, and that's why it crosses over the signal line so many times. Okay, so the MACD settings, it's not super important, but basically they use a 12-period EMA or exponential moving average and a 26-period to calculate the MACD. MACD settings, I don't think this is super important right now, but the MACD indicator is going to come with parameters of 26, 12, and 9. For now, that's good. MACD signals. There's 6 basic signals of the MACD, and we're going to discuss each one of those separately, possibly more than that, and we'll get into all that. So a bullish crossover. Here, you've got the blue line crosses up above the signal line. So signal line's red, the MACD is blue. So the MACD, if it moves up and over, it's kind of similar to how your simple moving averages cross. If a shorter period simple moving averages cross over above a longer period moving average, then that's a bullish buy signal. So this is your bullish buy signal because the blue MACD line crosses up and above, and you can see in the price action, go right here. So you get your bullish cross, and you got an uptick in price. Okay. Now you see how these lines are headed higher. Notice the price action headed higher. It's always it's definitely a bullish sign when you see this is the 0 line right here, where these histogram starts moving higher or lower, and when you break above that, that's another good positive sign. Okay, so here you see you got a bearish signal where the blue line, the MACD, crossed below the signal line. And so here you got this downtrend as a result. Now, if you notice, this is a lagging indicator. So really, if you go straight up from here, you missed a bunch of this downtrend. But what you can do, and what I've started doing, and it does, none of this works every single time. So, but what you notice, as soon as these lines start to move closer together, like they're going to touch, that's where you basically can make some of these moves. Call it a guess, but this is what I do. You know, and it's definitely really good results. And here I'll show you why. So if you'll notice, so if basically you would see they start to converge or move closer together, then you basically have your signal sooner. Now it happens here, and they never, see how these don't quite touch? You've got your MACD line, the blue line, your signal line. They don't quite cross over. However, if you look, as soon as they start to move closer, you have, because this would have been a bearish crossover. It would have went down and broke lower than it. But what happened is it didn't quite touch, but you still have your bearish price action as soon as they start to move closer. Okay, so then you get your bearish downtrend. Well, then they start to move further apart, and you've got your bullish buy signal. So even though they didn't quite touch, you could still and this is something that I do, and I don't know if it's right, but it works a lot of the time. So you just have to try it out, back test it. Everything you do, you want to back test it. So I've just seen people talk about this, and number one, I've seen it work on a lot of occasions for me. And so basically, I'm going to do what works. Possibly the best use of the MACD is identifying divergence signals. So MACD divergence is the general price action on the chart and the MACD direction are in contradiction. They don't match up. So this clues us to the price is likely to change directions. So let me show you what I mean. So here you've got this low is higher than this low, right? So you've got basically a downtrend. You have to use the bottom or the top. You can't use one bottom, one top, okay? And you're really only drawing these lines if there's a difference. So here you got this low, it's higher than this low. But down here, this low is lower than this low. So you've got upslope and downslope. And it's basically, the easy way I remember is you always go by what the indicator is showing. So basically, you down in the MACD area, you've got an upslope, and so it's bullish. Upslopes are bullish, so it's bullish MACD divergence. Then bearish would be the opposite. Okay, so this is a chart I posted earlier today, and I want to show you this. So you've got, this is on the histogram right here, okay, and you see, so this peak is downsloping to this peak. So if you go up here, match the price, it's right about here. You can see you're in you have to do the top to the top. So you're basically up here, and you've got increasing price action, and you've got decreasing histogram. So this is bearish divergence. You can find it on the histogram. You can find it on the MACD line. There's multiple areas that you can find it. Also, this is a side note, and this is something I learned from a video yesterday. It's pretty cool. When you see this histogram where it's basically little, like flat, like nothing, it's almost like squeezing of the Bollinger Bands, where there's going to be a move coming real soon, of an explosive move. And so you see how it's really squeezed right here. You go up here, it's not really doing anything, but then you get, boom, this explosive move to the upside. So this is something that I just learned, and it works really well. So just keep an eye on that as well. Okay, so MACD overbought and oversold signals. So many people don't know this about the MACD indicator, but the MACD indicator can provide overbought and oversold signals as well. So here, your MACD line is way below your signal line. So thus, you've got a huge histogram. So an easy, quick way to do this is look for your largest histograms. And this is oversold because the MACD is below the signal line, and your histogram is going to be below the histogram. So whenever you have big histograms to the downside, you're going to see a snapback in price. Here, this long histogram telegraphed this move to the upside. The MACD indicator is pretty rich on technical signals, and it's very versatile. So let's look through this chart. So you've got bearish divergence. So let's talk about this. So you see you've got an uptrend here on the top. So this high is lower than this high. So you're in an uptrend. So you have increasing price. But then down here, just barely, you've got decreasing or downsloping on the MACD. So you'll see this is a bearish divergence because it's slightly downsloping. So it's bearish divergence. And then when this happens, you get this huge drop in price. Okay. Now also, you got a bearish sell signal right here. And that's, this is like solving a puzzle. The more clues you get that show the same direction or the same thing happening, the better of chance of it is to play out. You got this bearish sell signal and bearish divergence, and you got this huge drop in price. Now here you got the blue line crosses up and above the red line. Okay, so this is a buy signal, and you see you get this huge spike in the price action. Now the blue line, MACD, crosses below the signal line, and that's a sell signal. So you go up here and you don't get it at the top, but you get it good enough. You get this huge sell-off, and you could potentially ride and play these until you get the next signal. Like we have somebody that came into the group and they said, I just traded MACD signals. You're just waiting for these lines to cross back and forth. And that's, but what I recommend is use that divergence, RSI, price action, support, resistance, kind of combine everything and put it together. So here you got a bullish cross. Blue line crosses up over the signal line. Easy way I remember this is it's bullish. I'm basically just focused on the blue line. If it crosses up above the red line, it's moving up, so it's bullish. If the blue line crosses below, it moves down. Down is bearish. So bearish cross, bullish cross. All right, so you get a bullish cross and you get a huge uptick in price. Bearish cross and you get a downtick. You get a huge drop off in price. This is a situation where they used oversold. Now they got, you had a bearish sell signal here. Then you got this drop in price. Now this is oversold. Kind of like when the RSI hits a low around 20, then you get a bounce when they're oversold. And you definitely want to watch the RSI video to understand that. So you got a huge histogram to the downside showing that it's oversold. Even though these aren't crossed, you've got oversold conditions when they're really far apart. And so you get a bounce to the upside. Versus if the blue line was above and it was really wide, then you have be overbought and you get a move to the downside. Kind of confusing, so maybe don't put a whole lot of stock in that at this point. Something you could grow into. So this involves, there's some candlestick patterns in here. I don't want to kind of be off on a tangent too much on this, but you got an inverted hammer, which is a bullish sign. You've got your buy signal happened right here. So you got your bullish cross of the MACD. So you've got basically this buy signal and this buy signal. And so at this point, you open the position, you put your stop loss here below this low. So then you basically ride it up. Well, the next time you get a signal is not till right here, where if you look, you really didn't make a whole lot. So potentially what I look at is you've got an inside bar reversal up here, which is a bearish reversal pattern. So you see these lines start to curve to you see the blue line start to curve to the downside. And so as soon as you start to see that, me personally, I start to think, there's going to be a change in direction potentially. Could have happened right here. Actually, the price reacted like it did, but it just, when it squeezes together, you'll see the price action changes. So here you've got a inside bar reversal. Potentially, I would have taken profits a little bit sooner as soon as I saw this trend change. It really depends on your strategy. Are you midterm hold? Is this part of a bigger move, cup and handle, triangle that hasn't broke yet? So there's a lot of things that go into this. Bullish divergence is here. So you've got a slight, this is the MACD line down here. You've got a slight increase or upslope, so that makes it bullish. And it doesn't match the downslope here, so bullish divergence. Okay, let's look at Litecoin real quick. All right, first, you've got a MACD crosses below the signal line. This is a sell signal. You go up here, and you can see that you kind of miss a little bit of the move. As soon as they start to converge and move together, that's how I do it, but you'll possibly be a little bit more ahead of the signal that's coming. Right here, you got your bullish buy signal here. You go up here, and right here it matches up, and so you catch that move to the upside. Here you got a sell signal. If we go straight up above it, you didn't really, it's kind of a downtrend, but not much. Buy signal, blue line crosses up and above, and you go up here, and yeah, that worked. So you see you've got your uptrend. You got a bearish signal right here, and you got a little bit of a sell-off. Right here, you can see what they were talking about, where this is overbought. See how this is really wide, and this matches here. Whenever you have these big histograms, you're looking at overbought signal in this case. And you see you got a little bit of a pullback here. Okay. Now here is a sell signal, bearish sell signal. This is lagging. So if you were to play this move at the actual cross, you really would have missed a lot of the downtrend. So again, as soon as you start to see this blue line make a sudden curvature, as soon as it makes a sudden move, potentially that's where you could consider your signals at. So again, you got to back test this stuff. This is just my way of trading. I'm being assumptive here. You have to try and see what works for you. But as soon as I see this sharp turn in the MACD, that's basically my idea that they're going to move closer together. And so this would line up and be a lot better. Okay, bearish sell signal here, blue line goes below. And then so downtrend. And again, if you were a little bit before it, that would be even better. So as soon as they start to move or converge together, then potentially you could use this signal as well. Okay, so the zero line is this white line. I just put it in there. Okay, it's kind of that line where the histogram breaks higher or lower. Okay, so you'll see when you're below the zero line, then you're in a downtrend. Okay, you're here, you're below the zero line, you're in a downtrend. You break up and you move above the zero line, and you're in an uptrend. So the MACD, there's a lot to learn about the MACD. It's going to take you, and again, you can start using the MACD and just start learning the crosses, and that's the easiest thing. Learning the crosses first. MACD cross. Bullish buy signal and bearish sell signal. I see people come in the group, and that's the first thing they learn. And then expand from there. Typically I want you to focus on one indicator. You first come in the group, start with RSI. That's probably the only thing you need on your charts. And then expand to MACD. Okay, add MACD. I think RSI or MACD are the two best when you're beginning. You want to use your price action as far as your support and resistance levels, and then volume. You use volume, support, resistance, MACD, and RSI. That's plenty. Like I only used RSI, support, resistance, and I was up 312% 2018. The best way to learn this is go back through and you just back test this MACD. Say, okay, here you're getting a bearish cross, and this is what happens up here. Okay, here you get this cross, and this is what happens up here. Definitely want to thank everybody for your support. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.